Forget modern drive-thrus and quick burgers. Imagine this. Over 2,000 years ago, in the bustling heart of ancient Rome, people were grabbing quick meals on the go just like us. But what if I told you they were eating peacock brains and dormice? Well, some were, but not at the fast food joints. We're talking surprising, everyday Roman meals for the masses. Did ancient Romans really have fast food? Yes, they absolutely did. And it wasn't just a few stalls. We're talking about a thriving system that fed millions. Imagine walking through the streets of Pompeii. The year is 79, under the smell of rich stews, warm bread, and something sizzling fills the air. Everywhere you look, you see small, counter-like shops. These were the thermopolia, a big word, but it just means places where hot things are sold. These weren't fancy restaurants. These were the ultimate grab-and-go spots. Think of them like ancient diners, but much more common. In Pompeii alone, archaeologists have found over 150 of them. That's almost one for every block. So, if you thought fast food was a modern invention, the Romans were way ahead of us. So, what exactly were the ancient Romans munching on at these fast food joints? It definitely wasn't what you'd expect from a modern takeaway. Forget pizza. That was invented much later. But they had some truly interesting and hearty dishes. One of the most common items was a rich, thick stew, often made with lentils, chickpeas, or other vegetables. Sometimes, it would have bits of pork or beef mixed in. They'd scoop it right out of large, sunken pots built into the counter. Think of it as a satisfying ancient soup or chili. You could also get freshly baked bread, often made right there in a small oven. And for those with a bit more money, roasted meats like chicken or sausages on skewers were very popular. They even sold ancient versions of street snacks. Think nuts, dried fruits, and small cakes sweetened with honey. It wasn't just about filling your belly. It was about getting something quick, warm, and ready to eat, especially if you didn't have a kitchen at home, which was common for many city dwellers. Now, who exactly was lining up at these ancient Roman fast food spots? Was it just for the poor, or did everyone indulge? The truth might surprise you. While it's true that many city residents, especially those living in small apartments without cooking facilities, relied heavily on thermopolia for their daily meals, these places were for everyone. Laborers on their lunch breaks, busy merchants, travelers passing through, and even soldiers would stop by. It was a common part of daily life for all kinds of Romans. It wasn't just about the food either. These places were social hubs. People would gather, chat, share news, and maybe even place a small bet. They were noisy, bustling, and full of life. Imagine the ancient world's equivalent of a busy food court, alive with chatter and the aromas of food. So, why did fast food become such a huge part of ancient Roman life? It all comes down to one main idea: convenience, and a few other very important reasons. First, imagine living in a crowded multi-story apartment building in a city like Rome. Many of these apartments, called insulae, didn't have proper kitchens. Cooking over an open flame in a wooden building was a huge fire risk, so buying prepared food was simply safer and much easier. Second, the Roman day was long and busy. People worked hard, whether in the forum, at the docks, or in workshops. There wasn't always time to go home for a meal, so a quick stop at the thermopolium was incredibly helpful for busy Romans. It allowed them to eat quickly and get back to their daily tasks. It truly was the ultimate ancient convenience food. But here is something you really wouldn't expect from a fast food joint. Many of these thermopolia were surprisingly decorated. They weren't just drab, plain counters. In places like Pompeii, archaeologists have uncovered beautifully painted walls inside these humble eateries. Sometimes they showed images of food and drinks, like wine jugs or chickens. Other times, they had colorful scenes of mythical heroes or even everyday life. It's like having murals in your local diner. This tells us that even these everyday places had a touch of Roman style. It made the experience more pleasant, more inviting. It wasn't just about grabbing food. It was about the atmosphere too. The Romans clearly valued good food and a bit of beauty, even in their quick service spots. Now, let's talk about the less glamorous side. While convenient, ancient fast food faced some serious challenges when it came to health and hygiene. With no refrigeration, food could spoil quickly, especially in the warm Roman climate. Open counters meant food was exposed to dust, insects, and the general street environment. Water sources for cleaning could also be an issue. So, while delicious, eating from a thermopolium wasn't always the safest bet. Cases of food poisoning were likely common. The Romans, like all ancient peoples, struggled with understanding germs and how they spread. But for many, the need for a quick, affordable meal outweighed these risks. It was a choice between eating something fast or not eating at all. How did they serve all this food? They didn't have plastic containers or paper bags, of course. So, how did the Romans manage their ancient takeaway? Food was typically served in ceramic bowls or small pots. If you were taking it away, you might bring your own container, or they might provide a simple pot that you'd return later. Liquids like wine or water were carried in special clay jars called amphorae or smaller flasks. This simple system worked surprisingly well for centuries. It was reusable, practical, and a great example of ancient ingenuity. They didn't need modern packaging. They made do with what they had, and it served them perfectly for their grab-and-go meals. So, what can we learn from ancient Roman fast food? It's more than just a historical curiosity. It shows us how basic human needs and behaviors remain the same across thousands of years. The need for quick, affordable, and accessible food is universal. Just like today, busy city life in ancient Rome created a demand for ready-made meals. It tells us about their economy, their social structures, and even their daily struggles. It also highlights the amazing adaptability of human societies. No matter the era, people find clever ways to feed themselves, connect with each other, and make life a little easier. The thermopolium wasn't just a shop. It was a heartbeat of the Roman city. From the bustling streets of Pompeii to the modern drive-thru, the story of fast food is truly ancient. It's a reminder that many of our daily habits have roots far deeper than we realize. The Romans didn't have our technology, but they understood convenience and community when it came to a quick meal. What do you think was the most surprising thing about ancient Roman fast food? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering these ancient ways, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Ancient Ways Discovered, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. We'll be diving into more incredible ancient secrets very soon.